Hello and welcome back to the What the Falk podcast in association with Viper Goalkeeping. Today's guest is a man who has formed one of the most formidable partnerships in the Scottish Premiership over the last few seasons, and a player that has in total amassed over 360 league appearances in his career so far. Welcome to the show, Mr. Hartley. How are you doing? Are you all right?
I am not bad, mate. Not bad. Thanks for having me.
It's all right. Had to nag you for a full week to get you on, and eventually got you on.
No, you did. One message, mate. I'm not that guy. Come on.
Nah, you were pretty sound, mate. Fair enough. I'll give you that. I mean, first things first, obviously, I think as everyone knows, you've recently left Motherwell. Like, as one of my followers said, it's still a little bit too raw, so forgive me if I'm touching any nerves here, but how are you feeling about it? What's the next steps?
Don't know what the next steps are yet, to be totally honest. It's still early, but yeah, it's obviously a bit of pill to swallow, but it's the nature of the beast. Like I've said in the past, I had a lot of conversations with the manager and stuff, and it was just the right time for both parties, really. And I'm just happy I've played my part and captained the club, led by example in all avenues, really, and finished third in the league. So it was a nice way to go. But ideally, in a perfect world, so to speak, I'd like to have a proper send-off and seen the fans and said goodbyes face-to-face with people, because I've made a lot of good friends up there, and obviously it's difficult when you don't get to see them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think probably a lot of that goes across the board with the season finishing in March. You think I've got 2 months to kind of really like have a good end of the season and kind of say bye to the fans when I can and have you finished third. Obviously getting into Europe, you're going to have a nice celebration on the pitch and all that. And it's kind of, for want of a better word, it's a sickener, isn't it, when you kind of get that at the end, let's be honest. Yeah,
it's a bit of a deflated feeling, because you don't get, albeit you've achieved something, you don't get to celebrate it. I mean, everyone's sat in their own houses individually on lockdown, and it's like, well, yeah, you feel a sense of achievement inside, but obviously you do it as a collective. You achieve that as a team, as a club, and there's a lot of people you want to celebrate with, or you don't get the opportunity to celebrate with. So the achievement was great, but obviously the celebrations have been put on hold.
How did you celebrate? Because the day that you actually got announced, literally 10 minutes before, I interviewed Deck, so I didn't actually find out how you celebrated it. Did you all just have like a few pints on Zoom or something like that?
Well, I didn't. Obviously, it was a great achievement, but I sort of knew then that I wouldn't be playing in Europe, so it was a difficult one for me, yeah, I'm not going to lie. But I celebrated. Obviously, boys in the group chat all buzzing and things, and I spoke to a manager in Keith Wesley over a WhatsApp call and things like that. But yeah, we celebrated. I certainly didn't have a drink. I mean, I've had a lot of drinks, but I didn't have a drink then, because I knew I had to plan things moving forward. So, we celebrated in the group, but we need a proper celebration, which I'm sure we'll have, because I'll be going back up the road next weekend anyway. So hopefully I'll bump into a few of the boys.
Talking about Keith Wesley, have you ever seen a better looking man in his kind of late 30s, early 40s? Because I don't want to say it to him, but he's pretty gorgeous, isn't he?
He's got a bit, hasn't he, Laz? Yeah. The women love him up there, mate. You've got to be careful. You haven't got a chance if you stood next to him. I just keep my arm's length, because I'll make him look even better if I was stood next to him, I'll tell you that much.
It's those blue eyes, isn't it? Those blue eyes. Obviously, first things first as well, you have left as well, and you've had a really successful time in Scotland. You've obviously really enjoyed it, which we've talked about a little bit off air. I guess sometimes you don't have, or not everyone, especially at this time at the moment, has the luxury of choosing where they go next. But would you like to stay in Scotland, do you think? Or are you kind of open to maybe come to somewhere like, I don't know, Sunderland or something like that?
Mate, I walk up the A19 now. We've had this conversation. Sunderland's it's about a 3.5-hour walk up that A19 for me, and I'll be happy to do it. But if it was easy as that, like you said there, if it was easy as picking where your next club was going to be, then it would be great. But not many footballers get that luxury. So I've had a great time at Motherwell. Ideally, I love the SPL. I love the way the league is, and type real football up there. It's intense. It's fast paced. I enjoy it. Every game's a battle. Every game's completely different. You learn something new every game. So it's something I want to be part of. But time will tell. I'll be totally honest. I've got nothing at the minute, zero. So it's not a great time to be out of work, because usually in normal circumstances, this time of year, you've either signed a pre-contract or you're making a decision on the next move. But at the moment, I'm not even at that stage. So I just wait and see what happens. But I've got a base up there. I've got a place up there, which I am. That's the reason why I'm going back up the road to sort a few things out with that. So we'll see. We'll see what the next couple of weeks unfold, and if things materialise, then hopefully I'll be back in the SPFL. If not, then Sunderland. Yeah.
If anyone's listening, and we seem to like free transfers at the minute, so you're available on a free. Why not?
I'm good at cleaning boots as well. So,
so I've been told, mate. So I've been told. There's a question. Whose boots did you clean at Sunderland when you were coming through the academy?
I've been through a few of the players, but I done. When I was a first-year scholar, was the Mick McCarthy promotion era. Mm-hmm. So I think that was 2005-06. That was Gary Breen. I used to do Gary Breen's boots, and I moved on to Nugsies, now on Nosworthy.
Oh, what a man.
And further down the line, I think I'd done big Stan Vargas and Johnny Evans. It was a bit weird because Johnny Evans was obviously my age.
Yeah.
But he was on loan for Man United and he was a different level. Like, obviously, attributes were fantastic at the time. Fantastic. Being 19-year-old and being able to do the things he could do was unheard of. But I washed these boots anyway, so he's the same age as me. I was washing these boots, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that being a bit of a strange one, yeah. But he was good, to be fair to him. And he still is, come to think of it.
He was a cracking lad as well. He was a great lad at the time. Obviously, being the same age, you're on the same wavelength with things. So, and it helped. Obviously, I come through the ranks with Trevor Carson and they both knew each other from Northern Ireland. So it helped, obviously. I've known him quite well. He was always in and around with those guys, So he was a good guy, Johnny.
Talking about, obviously, I probably jumped a little bit too far ahead here, but obviously you came through the academy at Sunderland. I think you joined in 2000. I think I kind of remember this, but I know that sometimes with sort of youth systems and youth teams, some of the years jump around. So I'm thinking of the people at the same sort of age as you. And I thought Trevor Carson was one, but if I remember rightly, you got to a cup final. I can't quite remember who it was against, but it was a hell of an academy team, wasn't it?
Oh, without a doubt. I think the cup final you're on about, if I'm thinking about the same one, it was the Durham County Cup one at the Stadium of Light. I think we played Gateshead at the time.
Yeah, it was a couple, I think.
Team was, looking back, that team we put out, I'd actually just come back from a loan because I was 2 years older than the boys like Jordan Henderson and Waggy and stuff. So I'd been on loan at Chesterfield and I'd come back, played in that game. And looking back now, seeing the players in that team at Sunderland 20s and reserve team was another level. Like, you got Waggy, Jordan Henderson, David Myler, Robbie Weir, Jordan Cook, obviously had a really good career. Michael Kay, Michael Liddell, Trevor Carson. God, I could go on forever. There was Irish boy Billy Dennehy as well.
Yeah.
God, loads. John Jeeves and Votto, I don't know if you remember him. We signed him from Paris Saint-Germain.
I do. Went to Wraith Rovers, I believe.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he had a spell in Scotland, didn't he? But John had a decent career. I'm not sure what he's doing now, but we had some unbelievable players. Like Jamie Chandler, he played England in the 20s, 19s, 21s. He's a great lad, great footballer. Yeah. And obviously we all went our own paths. And it's very rare you see a team, especially a reserve team, where it was a young reserve team, and we didn't really drop any first team players into that team because we were doing so well ourselves, where usually you bring players down and stuff. Looking back, the amount of players that went and made a living and a career for themselves out of that team, unbelievable. To credit to the coaches we had as well, because I remember when I done my first year scholarship at Sunderland, I was like Bambi on ice, man. The ball was like a hot potato. I just felt like I was completely out of depth with the standard of players around me. But then when things changed and Roy Keane came in, he brought his staff in and the principles that got implemented for the young boys and that, he just picked it up so quick. And Neil Bailey was fantastic with those guys. Like, we used to do sessions where we weren't allowed to speak in training. So you weren't allowed to shout for the ball. Everything had to be awareness. You had to know where people were on your team. He used to just do loads of crazy little sessions. Looking back at the time, it was genius.
Yeah, really, really, really clever. And I think, you looked at the team and stuff like that, and that, what the standard name is Henderson, don't get me wrong. But then you've also got Waggy is also another one you would look at. But you're right in what you say now. Once, years ago now, 2017, wrote a piece on what had happened to that team. I think it was that cup final. And when you look through the team, I think there was only 2 players that weren't still playing. I think it was Jake Richardson. I think Michael Cade retired. But like the rest of the team, I think, as I wrote at the time, you would have been at Bristol Rovers, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
But looking through the team and stuff like that, you had like Hendo was just about a captain of Liverpool, but you had like Waggy, you had Chandler. Like every one of them made a living out of the game pretty much. Like I would say 95%, and still are as well. Yeah. Like 3 years on.
It's crazy. It's weird because when I left Motherwell about 10 days, 2 weeks ago, one of the first people to text me was Neil Bailey, my coach at Sunderland. He was just basically, he's just seeing what happens, hope I'm well, if I need anything, like, you know where I am type of thing. And I was just like, I said to my missus, like, it's amazing that usually a lot of people text you when you're riding the crest of a wave and things are going well.
Aye.
But very rarely do you get messages off people when you've been released or you've left a football club or you might be in need of help. And he was one of the first people to text me, and he never texts me when I do well. So it just goes to show the value of the man. Do you know what I mean? He's always there for you, do you know, when you do need people like that.
Did he come from? He came from United, wasn't he, Neil Bailey?
He came from United, yeah. Then I think he left Sunderland to go and work for the FA, and I think he's still with the FA because when I signed for Blackpool, he was coming along to a few of our training sessions with Gary Bowyer, and I was speaking to him then, and I was talking about doing my B licence, and he just basically said, he was doing a Northwest for the FA with the coaching and things like that.
Feels like, and there's a few people I've had on the show who's came through like Manchester United's academies and stuff like that. I think a lot of them pointed towards Harrison, but it's funny across the board. And I mean, from Sir Alex downwards to the coaches that were involved with that sort of time frame, they all seem to have a similar mindset where it's like they set you up to be this like really well molded man and player, but they continuously keep in touch. Like I think we had Danny Higginbotham on, and he was saying how he bumped into Sir Alex on a train after he'd retired when he was at like Chester or something like that. Hadn't spoken to him in a few years. Came past and he was like, "Oh, how are you doing, Gaffer?" And he basically said, "Yeah, I'm all right." And he said, I walked away and thought I don't want to disturb him. And he said, "What are you doing? Come sit down with me." And he said, we had like a 2-hour chat where he remembered everything, asked how my dad was, asked how my mum was. So it feels like, and not taking anything away from Sunderland, because obviously that happened at Sunderland, but I think that was probably one of the reasons why the Roy Keane era was so good, wasn't it? He brought that kind of Manchester United mentality of making people feel valued, but also having standards. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. The things we used to do with Neil Bailey, like, it was so professional. You felt like you played for a first team. The way you got treated, the standards you had to live up to. It was football 24/7, but it wasn't just what you done on the pitch wasn't the only thing that mattered. You hit the nail on the head when you said about making you a better person. Things like that. He installed values into you of how to go about things in the right way and the correct way. And we used to. I remember he took us all to the cinema at Bolden to watch the Brian Clough movie when it came out.
Yeah.
I think, is it
Damned United?
Aye. He took us to watch on a Friday night, and the full team, the full Resi team, made sure everyone was there. And just things like that. Like, I don't think I'd have ever went to watch that movie with my friends, I'm not going to lie. But when I'd watch it, I was delighted I'd seen it because he was a living legend. I didn't even know, but he managed Hartlepool. And I didn't even know that, so it was obviously before my time. So, yeah, it was just great the way, and like you said, they've obviously brought that, if you can call it a winner mentality. I probably would, because we won the championship and we were bottom of the championship when he walked through the door. So he brought a winner mentality with him, and he just lifted the club from 3 or 4 levels within such a short space of time. And the quality of players he brought in as well, the players he could attract was phenomenal. Like.
Yeah, the name just brought people in, didn't it? I mean, even if you're looking back, I know he was the wrong side of 30, shall we say, but Dwight York.
There was no way he's leaving Australia to come and play for any other person but Roy Keane. Not a chance. And he was phenomenal. York, he was different levels. Like,
incredible.
He was a centre midfielder at the time, but his composure on the ball was fantastic.
Great in midfield.
And you know what as well? I've seen him every day. I've never seen anyone work so hard. Like, York, he'd have a game on a Saturday and he'd be in the pool swimming Friday afternoon, doing length. He'd be in the gym doing weights, and he's got a game the next day. Like, it was installed in you as a youngster, like, do as little as you can on a Friday to save your energy for a Saturday. But then working with these guys who were top of the championship by a lot of points and winning game in, game out, it was relentless. The boys don't go easy on a Friday because of the game on a Saturday. Like, to go harder. It was, and the tempo on training was, I've never seen the tempo like it, I'm not going to lie.
Talking about the place you came to, just to go back ever so slightly, said before, we talked about Henderson's like the standout name, but if I remember rightly, Hendo was good and it was all about his work rate and stuff like that, but he was no one thought he was going to be the Jordan Henderson he was today. The one that everyone would point to if you could pick an individual was Nathan Luscombe.
No, do you know what? We've left someone out as well. Jack Colback. What a player.
No comment.
It's soft for you. It's soft for Geordie, but Nathan was big. Nathan was very big, but Jack Colback.
He was highly rated.
Boys was the one. He was like the next Paul Scholes, like Ginger, obviously unbelievable on the ball, never give the ball away, always played forward, good with both feet, predominantly left-footed ball. But Nathan Luscombe just had that flair, had something. He was fearless. It was like he was playing in a park with his mates. And he actually signed for Hartlepool with me a couple of years later.
Apparently he was an absolute nutter as well, in the most wonderful way. You got any funny stories about Nathan Luscombe?
Oh, he was just funny. Like he's just a funny guy. I remember at Hartlepool, obviously, he signed his contract at Hartlepool and then he'd gone out. By all accounts, had a great summer with his mates. And he'd come back massive, absolutely massive. So our gaffer at the time, Mick Wadsworth, he was like, Nath, I can't put you on the park looking like that, mate. Like you obviously you're too big. So we he didn't have a clue. Bless him. Like if someone had got hold of him, which I was still learning at the time, so I wasn't probably the right person to get hold of him. But if someone had got hold of him and showed him what to do off the pitch, how to live your life off the pitch with regards to what to eat, because he's always had these problems, Nath. But when you're young, you can get away with it. Now he's getting into his 23, 24, 25 type of age. And he'd just sit on a dinner time eating celery. And I'm thinking, man, that's not going to help. Like, you need to seriously sit down with someone. I just don't think I think football beat him before he got the opportunity to obviously sort himself out. So Nath ended up, he definitely didn't have the career he should have had, but
yeah,
it's through lack of education, my opinion, not lack of ability.
Do you think that's where sort of, and it's no disrespect to Nathan Luscombe because I don't know him, so it'd be wrong for me to make the opinion, but obviously I've heard that, that sort of situation with Nathan a few times. And on the flip side, you hear the complete opposite of Jordan Henderson, that he was like from day dot, he was like, don't drink, eat well, train well. Do you think that's kind of almost evidence of if you get the right person to hold of you, or have the right attitude, you might not be the best player in the team at the time, but you can become one to be like a Champions League winner and captain of the Premier League elect, do you think?
Without a doubt. You've seen it with Jordan, especially from like the age of, I'd say 17 to 20. No, 17 to 19 for me, because I left when he broke into Sunderland first team properly. I'd obviously moved. But I seen from 17 to 19 with Endo, like, he had a sickening, really, really sickening wide rate, to a point where, like, how is this guy doing this? It's different levels. I didn't see it because I used to take my days off, but he used to literally come in on his days off, do parachute running. He was relentless with everything, and he obviously had good, really, I'm not saying we all haven't had good parents, but his mum and dad and the way he's been brought up and his morals have clicked. Yeah. Got parents with good habits and stuff, and it's been installed in him, and he just hit the ground running and literally took off like a rocket. It's ever since he come back from his loan at Coventry, when he went to Coventry and he played in the Championship under Chris Coleman, he was brilliant, like 18 years old, and he's literally set the Championship on fire. He was fantastic. And I believe Coventry bid for him as well, but Roy Keane said he was going nowhere, then that was it, straight into the first team.
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal looking back to where he's been. I remember when he first went, and I went, he'll be worth 50 million in a few years' time. Not a few friends that disagreed, and probably at the time it was probably a bit of a mad statement saying 50 million. But if you look at it now, I don't think you could get him for 100. He's literally that good.
Like, he did just look like, to the untrained eye, as a fan watching, you'd think he was just full of energy, a young kid, Duracell bunny, didn't stop running. But his picture and his mental aspects of how mentally strong he was, first and foremost. Like, he feared no one, didn't care if he was in front of 50,000, if he was in front of 500, he didn't care. Like, that's the way he was. But his mental pictures on the pitch, and he knew exactly what to do. Like, he was a fast learner. where it'd take us maybe 2 or 3 months to, within a week, it was there for him. Bang, bang, little 1-2s, volley a ball down the line, go the other side. Little things he'd pick up really quickly, and you'd just see him practicing them in training, and then it was second nature. It was muscle memory.
Yeah.
He just took off like a rocket.
Yeah, still going as well, isn't he? Jesus.
He's getting better and better. It's ridiculous how good he is. Because even when he went to Liverpool, he was getting question marks, and then he got given the captaincy, more question marks. But you got to understand, like, he's never going to be he's a complete different type of player, Steven Gerrard. But he's the cog in that engine that makes it tick. You see how much you'll miss him when he's not there. Do you know what I mean? He's absolutely a phenomenal player.
I think they lost him for 2 games this season, and what was it? They lost like 2 in 4 or something like that. And the 2 games he wasn't playing.
They lost the first Premier League game without him, the Watford game.
That's right. Phenomenal player, and it's just like it's. I mean, I remember watching him at the Stadium of Light and like under 17s games and stuff like that, and he was a right winger. And like you say, it was to the untrained eye. It was Duracell bunny eyes. He's running about a lot, but he's it's one of those things that I suppose you have to touch on. But I think it does show. And again, I feel quite bad here, like hammering Nathan Luscombe as a man I don't know. But I suppose in a way, it's like if you look at the difference between them, someone had like a lot of work ethic, they had the right people around them and stuff like that, and the right person to grab hold of them. And yet Luscombe was much more highly rated. Bags of skills, bags of talent, allegedly, and yet one's winning the Champions League and one at the moment. I'm not quite sure where he is, which is a bit of a shame, really. But it does go to show. Yeah.
The difference in the two is Jordan's dream was to play for Sunderland, and obviously he didn't let anything stand in the way, whether it was a night out. He used to come on nights out with us. He used to be there all the time. He never used to not do anything. He just knew what the right thing. He'd stay till 12, he'd get himself off, wouldn't drink. Natty would be there till 6 in the morning having the time of his life with his top off. That was the difference.
There was a good story I heard about Nathan Luscombe, and it was told by Bowley, funnily enough. He used to put like deep heat in the players' underpants?
Him and Jamie Chandler were the worst. Like, you couldn't leave any kit around in the dressing room. Again, you were, especially Chandler. He got away with murder, but he was the worst. He'd be doing constantly from walking through the door at 8:30 in the morning to leaving at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Chandler was just pranking constantly, tying your boots together, deep eating your shin pads. So if you've got a game, you put your shin pads on. Obviously, you're already sweating because you've done a warm-up. You put your pads on. Then when you pulled your socks up fast in the morning in the middle of the game, your shins are burning. Like actually burning with deep eating. You're like, fuck, what can you do? It was all like, looking back, it was brilliant. Having different... We just enjoyed each other's company. Like, we worked really hard. We were literally... Because back then as well, it's changed a lot now, but the mentality of a professional footballer was done by 1 in the afternoon, get yourself off. That's it. But when Neil Bailey came in, there was no such thing. Like, the first team might be done at 1:30, but we're here because we need to get into the first team. So we were there 3 to 4, 5 on the afternoon, swimming sessions, extra football sessions, technical weights, mental strength. Every single box got ticked for us guys, and it stood us in good stead. And like you said, that's why so many of the team went on to play hundreds of games, hundreds of league games. You know, no one can take the games away from you.
Yeah.
The money comes and goes, but no one can take them games away from you.
Talking about one particular game, because obviously I know the majority of your actual playing careers, I suppose, been away from Sunderland, but you did play sort of one game for Sunderland, which was a cracking day. I was actually there. Great day. Leicester away, New Year's Day. You came on with sort of 6 minutes to go. What was Roy Keane like with you sort of before the game? Because obviously he'll probably remember, and most managers remember their first game if they've been previous players. But what was he like with you?
So rolling back to probably New Year's Eve, there was one spot on the bench and he took 3 youngsters. There was me, Jake Richardson and Billy Dennehy. And then I remember being New Year's Eve, we were up late, we were talking, buzzing in the room. Obviously, I've travelled a lot that year with the first team, but never really got on the bench. I was always 18th man or whatever. And I was like, there's one spot, it's going to be one of us. Like, and we never found out that night. He obviously, we were having our pre-match the next day in the hotel before we left, and he named the bench, and obviously it was me. He didn't say much to me, nothing at all. Just expected me to get on with it type of thing, which I did. Never expected to get on. Got told to warm up. on about 60 minutes in, I'm like, this is banter. I remember seeing the Sunderland fans. Obviously, it was a new Leicester City Stadium as well. It moved from Filbert Street or Walker Stadium at the time. It was called. I think it's a King Power now, isn't it?
King Power.
But, yeah. But got told to warm up, and then I've sat down and I seen him whispering to Tony Laughlin, and he's turned around. He said, "Pete, get your shirt on, get ready. You're going on." And I was like, "What?" So and then Tony come up and said, obviously, you're coming on left back, you're going to come on for Ross Wallace, and Tobias Hyson's going to go left wing type of thing. So I was like, sound. Then it was all a play after that. I just remember playing against Danny Cadamarteri. He was playing right wing for Leicester. And then after a game, Gaffer pulled me after the game and he just said, listen, you've got another 300 games in them legs. He said, make sure this isn't the end of it for you. Just keep working hard and keep doing what you're doing. And that feeling there, literally, I was on cloud 9 for the next 2 or 3 months with Sunderland. It was ridiculous. And then I got dragged back down to earth with a bad hip injury. So obviously that was what I couldn't do anything about that. It was just genetic.
That kind of curtailed things a bit, I think, didn't it? Because obviously it was the one appearance, but like you're right in what you're saying. Like that did kind of happen where you had like been in the squad a fair bit, but that was like the one game you wanted to get on, and because you played in the team for 2 years after that. But I mean, I think as it was with Sunderland, we kept not splashing big money, but we were spending like the 9 million on Craig Gordon here and there.
Well, that's what it was. Obviously, I got my chance on New Year's Day there, and whether, in my opinion, I didn't fully believe that, right, this is my chance, so I'm staying in this team. I'm like, wow, I'm getting a moment, enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But looking back, the gaffer would never give a chance to anyone if he didn't believe they could play in the team, because that's just the mentality he had. So if I'd have believed a bit more as well, I'd have probably pushed to make that appearance 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. But obviously, having happened what happened, and us getting promoted at the end of the season was probably one of the worst things that could have happened to me, because he went and paid 9 million for Anton Ferdinand. So I ended up going out alone when I'd done my rehabilitation, and that's when I went to Chesterfield.
And then I think it comes across like with everything that you were released, but I think you actually turned the contract down, didn't you? And you wanted to go elsewhere and play games.
Well, what it was, Ricky Sprazier was caretaker manager at the time, and like we've reiterated there, we had an unbelievable reserve team. Like, a lot of people say this, but I can't explain how good it was.
Yeah.
The football we were playing was levels above what anyone in the country was playing. It was phenomenal. And Ricky Sprazier was like, lads, I'm not going to be here next season. He said, a new manager's coming in. He said, all I can do is offer you 1-year contracts, because the new manager might come in, might like it, might not like it. He said, I can't give you a 3 or 4 year, then whatever. So he obviously offered everyone else the same contract. And if it was any other club, I would have stayed at Sunderland, but Hartlepool offered me a contract, an opportunity to come play for my hometown club. So it was a tough decision to make, and I ended up speaking to Ricky, and Ricky went, listen, I was a centre-half. When I was your age, I had an opportunity like this to go and play and make a career for myself. He said, just go and do it. He said, you might end back up here one day. He said, if you stay here and you don't get them football, I was 20, 21 at the time, you don't get them league games under your belt and the experience, he said, you might fall by the wayside. He said, you've got to take opportunities when they come, and then you work back to get to this level. So I ended up signing for Hartlepool, and then Steve Bruce came in as Sunderland manager and give everybody the chance. I think he put Myler in, he put Jack in, he put Jordan in. I think there was a few more. Jordan Cook had played a few times under him as well, I believe. Yeah. And then obviously Cookie went on to play for Carlisle and Charlton. But yeah, he literally gave the majority of that. I'm not saying I would have got my chance if I was still there, but you do look back and think, boy, them boys played in the Prem.
Yeah.
Played in the Premier League, do you know what I mean?
I know. I mean, you talked about Jordan Cook before. He only played 2 games, but at the same time, he's had a really good career across Championship, League 1, League 2. I think he just left Grimsby, is he? I think. Yeah,
I think he has just left Grimsby. Yeah, that was his last club. Yeah, because he'd. I think where did he go? He went to Charlton, went somewhere else, and then ended up at Grimsby, didn't he?
Was it Luton? Luton or Walsall or both?
Luton and Walsall. I think he was a boy. He's had a few clubs. That's what I'm saying. Like, no one had even. People wouldn't realise that he started at Sunderland in that group of boys, looking at him. You know what I mean? But what a player Cookie was.
Yeah,
he was. I'm not going to compare him to him because they're different levels apart. But Cookie was our Firmino. The way he played, he dropped into a false nine role, and then you'd have Waggy running off him, you'd have Nathan running off him. Do you know what I mean? And it was just ridiculous. Like, Cookie's technical ability, holding the ball up and bringing people into play was different level.
Talking about the Hartlepool team that you went to as well, I mean, people maybe listening might think Hartlepool Conference, but they weren't at the time. They were League One, and a solid League One team as well. You had Richie Humphreys, James Brown, who obviously I think got an injury, but was a great striker at the time, and Stephen Haslam, obviously experienced being at England sort of youth teams alongside Wes Brown, and that Alan Power, obviously a big name that's still playing at the minute. But for you, not just playing alongside those kind of players, because they are good players with good experience and good young players as well, but how much did playing regular football at League One level help you progress as a player?
Massively. I remember my first season, I played left back, and I'm obviously not a left back, but we had Sam Collins and Gary Liddell had formed a formidable partnership at centre half. So you get in where you can, and we had a tough season. We just avoided relegation. I think we stayed up last game of the season. We drew 0-0 with Brentford, and that point kept us in League One. But that was a massive. Looking back, that year was a massive learning curve. Chris Turner and Colin West were the manager and assistant. We had a good team. We had a really good team, but we just like, one of them seasons where you might lose 5 or 6 in a row, where you lose them 1-0, and you're like, we couldn't put our finger on it. And then Mick Wadsworth came in the next season. He signed a left back, Evan Horwood, and I was sat on the bench. And I'm 22 in the last year of my contract at Hartlepool, thinking, what is going on here? Like, I knew I wasn't a left back, so I understood why he signed a left back. But I couldn't get in at centre half. But Tony Sweeney, our midfielder, was scoring 15, 16 goals a season for us from midfield. So, and obviously Gary Liddell was playing great at centre half, who was usually a midfielder. So I'll never forget. I didn't kick a ball till end of October, and we played Plymouth away. And Sweens had pulled his hamstring in training, and we went down there. He'd done a fitness test in Plymouth, and then Wadsworth pushed Liddell into centre midfield and put me centre half with Sam Collins. We beat Plymouth away 1-0, and Bradley Ray Phillips was playing. Yeah, and I had a tough game against them, but we done well. Me and Sam defended really well. Obviously, Plymouth at the time wasn't the Plymouth. Now I had like Craig Noon, Wright Phillips, Carl Fletcher, some good players. You know what I mean? And they were getting chances after chances, and we done well. And then obviously we had Peterborough the weekend after, who were flying high at the top of the league. Were Aaron McLean and Craig McHale-Smith up front, who got 30 odd goals between them the season before, so maybe more. And we beat them 2-0. Same team. I scored. And then that was it. I took off from there. I think we kept 5 clean sheets in the first 7 games or something. And we ended up finishing 9th or 10th or something like that in the league. And then that was it. I signed a 4-year at Hartlepool that season. That end of that season now, I broke in at centre half. I signed a new 4-year deal there. Then we went from there.
I think my favourite thing that I read about your time with Hartlepool, you probably heard this a million times, was there was a game where you won 2-1 and the goals were scored by yourself and James Poole, meaning Hartlepool's goal scorers that day were Hartlepool. Strange question, but did it ever dawn in the dressing room that might actually happen one day?
No, it didn't. No one even spoke of it. And I didn't even realise what the big thing was after the game. The photographers were on the pitch getting a photo of me and Pooley, and I'm thinking, what is this? But because Pooley scored first, it didn't click. So he scored the first goal, and then Notts County equalised, and I scored the other goal. And then obviously it took off. Hartley and Poole scored for Hartlepool, so that's obviously a nice touch. It's my hometown club as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so it was crazy.
Because that was a big thing. I think someone asked me the other day online. They said, "Oh, he's a Sunderland lad," and to my knowledge, I knew you were from Hartlepool, but to my knowledge, you were Sunderland. But you grew up a Hartlepool fan, didn't you? Not a Sunderland fan.
A Hartlepool fan through and through, mate. Yeah, my uncle used to take me from being the eye to Pools games. I remember I used to literally get the first 10, 15 minutes of a game, then I'd fall asleep on his lap. So I was that young. But when I got older and I was playing for Sunderland under 15s, 16s, 17s, we'd play our games on a Sunday. So I'd go to Hartlepool games on a Saturday, then I'd obviously play my games on a Sunday. I used to have a season ticket for years, follow them when they got the playoff, League One playoff final. Against Chef Wed, I followed them everywhere really. Then I ended up playing for them. It's crazy.
So does that make it really hard? Because obviously, I think looking back and in hindsight, all these things do build you as an individual, especially as a player. but I think you had 4 or 5 seasons at Hartlepool, and the last one ended in sort of relegation from League One, which obviously they've gone down a bit further since then and things haven't really progressed for Hartlepool. But what's it like being relegated for like your hometown club? What does that do for you as an individual?
Well, I was captain as well.
Yeah, so, didn't want to mention it, so sorry.
It was tough. I was going through a tough time, I'm not going to lie, because I was a Hartlepool fan. I think I was trying too hard on the pitch instead of just letting things come to me naturally. And it's happened with a lot of your friends who've been in the Sunderland youth system and got a chance and tried too hard, and then that's it. You fall by the wayside. But that's one thing you can't do in football is over try. Sometimes you've got to let a game come to you, type of thing. But it was a tough season, getting given the captaincy so young in the middle of the season off Neil Cooper. So it wasn't like I was captain. He just came in, decided to take the captaincy off Sam and give it to me. And Sam was great with me. Sam Collins was fantastic. He just said, if you need any advice or a shoulder to lean on, you know where I am, type of thing. I was only 23 at the time. So, and then we got relegated. So it was tough pill to swallow because I'm from the town. I go shopping in the town. I get my food shopping in the town. I'm always out and about. I've got a lot of friends who are Hartlepool fans. So I couldn't escape what was happening. It was gradually building up, January, February, March, and we could see we were dropping. And I couldn't escape people putting added pressure on me from the outside, being my friends who actually didn't realise they were doing it. They were just, all they were talking about was football to me and what's going on, what's happening. And then I was going to work, and then there was that pressure of work of how we're going to get out of this funk, this mess. So I had no release. It was just, I was constantly thinking about football, and I felt like it was my responsibility personally because I'm a fan, I'm captain, and it's my football club. I've been following these since day dot. Do you know what I mean? And it happened. We got relegated, and it was. I remember the summer. It was disgusting. And I sat down with my missus, and I was like, I need to get out of this town. I need to go because if I stay here, it's going to be a slippery slope. All this is it's going to melt my brain, type of thing. So I needed a fresh start. I needed to take the emotional connection out of things and concentrate on my football first and foremost. And that's when I made the decision to go to Stevenage. Talking
about so that discussion you've just had there, and I think it's something that's probably more well known now, especially with players coming out and the ability to kind of post things on social media. But do you think it still goes unnoticed, I suppose, the kind of mental toll that football can take on an individual, like from a mental health perspective, like expectations not matching reality for you as an individual and also for the fans and how they view you, and the fact that the Northeast is so full of fans that are just, you see it with Sunderland, you see certain players, you see them in the street and you don't know that person, but if they played shite on the Saturday, you kind of feel like, oh, you were rubbish, you ruined my day. But then you sometimes do forget, and I think I'm guilty of it, we're all guilty of it, that's an individual human being that's probably had the same upbringing as you, was just a bit better at playing with a football. But do you think it's underappreciated by the media, the fans, your teammates, the club itself, how much mental strength sometimes you've got to have in football?
Oh, God, without a doubt. Like, when you play, no one goes out on a Saturday with the intentions of not playing great or having the worst game of their life. Yeah. It should be the last thing that crosses your mind. It should never even enter your mind. But you're not going to win every game. But see, when you lose a game, that feeling stays with you until Wednesday. So you play on a Saturday, you have feeling. But see, when you win a game and you leave that dressing room, that feeling's gone. So the losing a game, the high is not. The high you get off winning lasts minutes, the low lasts days. And people from the outside, fans or on the street, adding to that low you're already in, because you'll probably have your own personal standards that you haven't lived up to on a Saturday, which is the 2 hours a week that actually matters. You are literally defined by them 2 hours a week on a Saturday. Them adding to that negativity of, I don't know, like you said, for example, coming up to you saying things, or you were shite or whatever, that adding to how your mental aspect already is, it can kill your confidence massively. You've got to be mentally strong. It happened to me, Hartlepool, massively. I go shopping and people are like, what was going on Saturday? Like, whatever. And I'm thinking, well, you can't give them the right answer because they're a fan and they're from the outside looking in, so they probably wouldn't understand the right answer. Mm-hmm. But then you've got to acknowledge them because you can't win in the situation. You tell them to go where to go, then they're going to go and tell a million people, oh, he's a prick or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But then you answer his question basically and cut him short, like, oh, I don't know, mate. He'll be like, oh, well, he doesn't care. So you can't win. You can't win. You've just got to keep your mouth shut, get your head down, work hard. That's the only answer. Win, lose, or draw. You just try and work as hard as you can in training. And that's how you build your confidence. That's where your confidence comes from Monday to Friday and your teammates. That's why your team's so important. Because say you win on a Saturday and you're back in, you're bubbly on a Monday, you're ready to go, you're firing. See, when you lose on a Saturday, something I've learned, especially having captain clubs in my pastures, that's the most important role you play as a captain, that Monday morning, that Tuesday, getting people back into this. I don't know, a player might have had a bad game, he might have given a penalty away to cost us the game. Making sure he's back on track, he's firing, he's smiling, he's bubbly in training. You've got to get them people back, because the longer that feeling lingers on till Wednesday, Thursday, they've just got over this Thursday feeling. Now they've only got 2 days to prepare for a game Saturday. Where if they can shake this feeling off on a Monday, by the time it gets to Friday, they've forgot about last Saturday. The buzzing, confidence is high. What's happened. You can't affect what's happened. Let's look forward. So that was a responsibility I definitely learned the longer my career went on, and helping my teammates. You know, when you can just spot little things in characters when people are a little bit like treading on water, just not going 100% in training because the mind's still elsewhere on what's already happened. And I picked that up quite quickly as a youngster. Honestly, got given the Hartlepool captaincy way too young. Didn't have a clue what the captain's role really was. But as I've got older and developed and played all over the country, as you've said, you pick things up, and I picked a lot up, and I don't regret any club I played for because I've learned a hell of a lot. If I'd stayed at Hartlepool, I wouldn't have learned half the amount of what I've learned playing under and with some of the great players I played with.
Yeah. Obviously, as it was, you went to Stevenage from there and then onwards towards Plymouth as well. But one thing that intrigued me, and you might be able to shed a bit more light on this, you went to Blackpool, but then instantly went to Motherwell on loan. How did that happen? Was that always the plan, or did something happen in the background? Because we all know Blackpool was mental at that point.
So the summer before I signed for Blackpool, I had a couple of options. I had Lincoln, Port Vale, Motherwell, Blackpool, and I just had a son. Literally May the 1st that year. That's the main reason I left Bristol Rovers, and I had this decision to make because Bristol was 5 hours away and I needed to be home. Yeah. So then me and my missus sat down and I was like, right, well, listen, this is the closest to home. Let's go to Blackpool. She had geographical reasons. I could commute. I could get home and back and help with the little man. So I signed for Blackpool, and I knew very quickly it was probably the wrong decision because they'd come off the back of a successful League Two playoff campaign and got promoted. And then Gary Boyes stuck with the players that had done well. So I wasn't really getting minutes. And I'd come off the back of a 6-month injury at Bristol where I was chomping at the bit to play football again. Aye. And I just sat down and I thought, I can't sit on the bench for a season because that's a season and a half missed. I was like, I need to play football. So I rang my pal up at Motherwell, Carl McHugh, who's Motherwell captain. And I just said, Carl, do me a favour, will you pull Robbo and ask him if they still need a centre-half? So Carl was suspended this was on a Saturday. I was driving back from a Blackpool game and I didn't even make the bench. So I was just, my head had gone. So he rang Robbo, he spoke to Robbo and Robbo had said, yeah, well, Ben Hennigan's leaving. He's going to Sheffield United, so there's going to be a slot. So Robbo obviously made contact with Blackpool, and within a week out I'd signed for Motherwell on loan. But I would, being totally honest, and it's easier saying this now, but I would have probably went to Motherwell that summer. Yeah. It wasn't the closest, it was the second closest to home. If it was only Lincoln, Port Vale or Motherwell, I'd have gone to Motherwell. Yeah. But geographically, Blackpool was the reason I made the decision geographically.
With Motherwell, I think it would be fair to say, moving to Motherwell, moving to Scotland, is probably one of the best decisions you've made. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, without a doubt. Style of football's phenomenal. The club is absolutely amazing. Like, what a football club. From walking in from the first minute, knowing within a week I knew I'd become very close to the players in the dressing room, and we hadn't achieved anything yet, but you could just see there was some bubbling, the standard of training, the personalities of players. Everyone wanted to do more than what was required. No one was taking shortcuts. Everyone was living their life the right way. We had a good mentality. Most importantly, we had a striker who got us 20 goals. We knew was going to get us 20 goals a season. So all we needed to do was have a good structure behind him. And then we took off from there. We all become close friends along the way, and we still keep in contact now. That Motherwell team literally dispersed within 6 months because we'd done so well, 2 cup finals. Our main striker, Louis Moult, went to Preston. We lost Kipper at Wigan. Andy Rose went to Vancouver Whitecaps. So we lost players as the journey progressed. But that's a good thing about Robbo up there and Martyn Foyle and Alan Burrows. The recruitment at that football club, I've never witnessed anything like it. It is absolutely phenomenal. Like, the players they bring in for the budget they have, to what they get out of these players is different levels to anywhere I've ever seen. The structure behind it basically is the training methods are fantastic. It's making you grow and learn as a player every day. You're not training for the sake of training, doing 5-a-sides, boxes. No, none of that. You're preparing and you're learning a team ethos and a way of playing. And it's literally your brain's firing every day. You're not just turning up for training, getting a dab on, getting yourself off. You're actually learning things every day, and they're making players better by the day, by the minute. And the youngsters up there, like, there's players who haven't even played this season who could have more than contributed to us finishing third. But the gaffer just knows, he has a knack of knowing the right times to put them in. For example, Jake Hasty, David Turnbull. Could have put David Turnbull in a season before he did, but he just knew I need to hold this guy back, because when I do put him in, it's going to be a short lifespan for the club because he's so good. You know what I mean? Hasty, same thing. Send him out on loan, get a bit of physicality, bring him back, and he ended up getting him moved to Rangers within 6 months. They've got players that are more than capable of doing that next year.
Yeah, it's a really good youth system that's coming through. And I was speaking to Deck about the same sort of thing, and the players that are coming through, Campbell, Turnbull, obviously the main two. But looking at the manager himself, Robinson, I think Deck said, he said, I know people will laugh, which I don't think anyone did. He says, but I think he's the best manager in the Scottish Premiership at the minute. How highly do you rate him?
Yeah, without a doubt. I can't believe he's still at Motherwell. The attention to detail that this guy and his coaching staff, not just the gaffer. The gaffer obviously calls his shots. He's the main man, and he literally works harder than anyone at the football club. But you got your Hinchies, your Mo Rosses, your Ballsies, your Lasleys. It's all the team, and the gaffer makes sure it's a team. But the attention to detail in the team meetings, the attention to detail in the training sessions, every session has a purpose. It's not for the sake of a session. If we're playing Kilmarnock on Saturday, we'll have a low block defensively. We will create a session to break down their block. We have pressing sessions from throw-ins in and out of possession. Honestly, I'd say probably off the back of the two cup finals, that January after that, from that January, so a year and a half, the things I've learned in football at Motherwell under Stephen Robinson, Mo Ross, Keith Lasley, I've not learned in the last 8 years. I've learned more in a year and a half than I have in 8. It makes me jealous, because I look at your Alan Campbell's, I look at your Davy Turnbulls, your young boys, your Dean Cornelius's, Davy Devines. Obviously, these are young boys coming through, but they don't realise the opportunity they have with that level of coaching staff, because I've pissed away probably 5 or 6 years where I've trained for the sake of training for a game on a Saturday, and then the game's all that matters at certain clubs I've been at, where it's progression. You're progressing as a player, as a person, every single day. And the result, yes, it is the be-all and end-all, but the principles we're trying to install will eventually be successful, regardless of whether we win, lose, or draw this Saturday. And you've seen how quick the players have picked it up at Motherwell. What they're trying to install at that football club to where they are now, finishing third, that should have took 2 or 3 years. Not a year. Like, I think we signed 11 new players last summer and got rid of 8 or 9 last summer. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. Like, where are we going to go from here? Like, and then we end up finishing third. So that goes to show, 1, the recruitment. 2, you can put the fundamentals into place, and any player with the right character could slot straight into the fundamentals if they've got the right character and and straight off. So it's the structure that works at the club, not the players. The players obviously contribute. You've got a David Turnbull, you're going to get 20 goals. But the actual structure that the club is building, you could pluck players, put them in, and they'll just keep rising and rising.
Talking about team spirit.
Sorry, mate, I don't shut up here. Just put in whenever you want.
No, mate, that's my job is to keep my mouth shut. Trust me. I just have to kind of stoke the fires and hope that you're talkative, which is perfect. One big thing, talking about team spirit, I've had a few of the lads on the show. Obviously, I've Tony Watt, who has not yet been released, but great guy. Obviously, Dick's a great guy, and I've had Lasley on as well. And the one thing that's quite funny is you've all got stories about each other. And it's good to tell tales on a show like this, but at the same time, it shows like a really good team spirit. But there seems to be a great set of lads at Motherwell, loads of great crack. What's the kind of funniest moment for you of what's ever happened in the Motherwell dressing room that you can tell us?
I'll tell you what, I've got one. So, so when we were on the cup final run, we used to get shirts put in the dressing room to sign. Yeah. So obviously the boys sign the shirts, and someone kept signing the shirts and balls, Pele 10. So some player kept signing these shirts and balls, Pele 10. And obviously this is before the first cup final, so we're finding people for the Christmas kitty because we were going to Dublin for the Christmas do. So boys had obviously pointed a few people out to the fines committee. Could be him. We narrowed it down to two. I think it was Ryan Bowman and Alex Fisher. So we decided to have a court case. Oh, God, I wish it got videoed. So Fish came in. It was a 2-day court case. So we're all ready on the morning, just got our normal gear on, getting our training kit on. Fish walks in with a suit on, briefcase, ready for court. So we do a 2-day court case, and we find out after the second day, Alex Fisher was pleading his innocence completely, like, nothing to do with him. He had Elliot Free as his solicitor. Like, we proper legit. We had the panel. We had everything. And then second day, Fisher's just opened his suit. He come in second day with a complete different suit on, different tie, everything, briefcase, a lot. He had everything written out. Anyway, he's opened his suit shirt up, and it just said, "I am Pele 10." So obviously it was brilliant. Honestly, it was phenomenal. But that just brought everyone. Well, we were already close anyway, but the banter, and then obviously when Declan Gallagher came, and he doesn't shut up. So yeah, he'd come in from day one. He was fearless. He didn't care who he was talking to, but in a good way. He's a great guy, and he just lifted. We needed someone like that at the time because we'd lost a lot of big characters, and obviously Deck had come in and slotted straight into to his spot and hit the ground running, so to speak. But Deck was funny, and he just brought the group together. I think he'll be captain next season, Dex. He's a great lad. And he's got that natural leadership quality, what I think first and foremost you need to be a captain.
And I think it's fair to say he knows how to face adversity without going too in depth. I think that's been kind of proven, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, look, I think he got released by Celtic, so he's took kicks in the teeth and obviously had to rebuild his career again, and now he's a Scotland international, so it was, them caps don't get given out for free. You've got to earn them, and it's no coincidence. I truly believe if Deck was still at Livingston last season, he wouldn't have played for Scotland. There's no coincidence he's come to Motherwell, and obviously the coaching staff have got their hands on him, and he's a great player anyway, but making him understand what he's doing, the reasons behind what he's doing, and his career's taken off, and I hope it keeps going for him because he's a great guy.
Talking about sort of Motherwell and stuff like that, I asked for a few questions from Motherwell fans, and there was a few decent ones, but I've got two that were belters. So the first one's, you're going to have some partnerships, friendships on the line here, possibly. But somebody's asked, if you had to choose one, Aldred, Kipray or Gallagher? And it's not as a defender on the ball, and potentially, there's three answers to that question. So as an out-and-out defender, Tom Aldred all day long. He literally die and let the ball go in the net. Phenomenal. But on the ball, Decky, all day long. He could chop a striker like a striker should be chopping him. Like, Decky's ridiculously good on the ball. But then potential, Cedric, he come and he was raw from Leicester, a young French boy, didn't really speak much, kept himself to himself. You put him on the park and he was a big animal.
and you could see he had the potential to play at the very top. So the answer to the question is a lot more complex than the actual question. I can't just say, oh, Decky, because Tom's a better defender than Decky. I can't just say Tom, because being a defender as a whole has a lot more strings to its bow than just defending, especially in this modern game.
Maybe we got the wrong end of the stick and the lad actually meant shag, marry or avoid. Who knows?
Oh, right, okay. You can answer that one then.
There was another question that came in as well, and I've got to be careful how I ask this. Now, I'll openly admit, obviously everyone knows I'm a Sunderland fan, but I have a big love for Rangers, and I'm not going to deny that. There's no point in me denying it. But particular week when you managed to wind up the entirety of the Rangers fan base when you talked about a certain man breaking his nose. So I don't want to touch on that because we all know what happened and we all know things after that. But you obviously would have got shit all that week. And I know that because I would class myself as part of the Rangers fan base and I've lived in Glasgow, so I know what Celtic or Rangers upset one of them, you've had it, at least for the week or for your lifetime. But then as it was, you managed to score a last-minute equaliser in a 3-3 draw. How mental was that week?
That week was insane. Do you know when you say something without thinking about what you say?
Yeah.
Or the way it came across in the wrong way from a personal point of view. But that happened and it happened. That was it. So obviously we've got to play Rangers on the Saturday and I speak to a manager and manager's like, you just got to man up, deal with it. Do what you need to do. Just deal with it. Take the hits along the way. So that's what I've done. And obviously I've never prepared so much for a game of football before in my life. Got booed every time I touched the ball, got called worse than anything. But to then pop up and score the last minute equaliser. And what a game, by the way. Like, we went 1-0 up there, went 2-1 up, we made it 2-2 there, went 3-2. It was crazy. And then scoring the equaliser, it was an amazing feeling. But it was just what I'd said, you know. Obviously I took it back straight away and apologised because I'm not that guy. I don't want anyone to get hurt, you know what I mean? It's a competitive sport, but to score the equaliser was pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. It was a great feeling. After all the stick I've been getting given for the last week, it was brilliant.
Was that kind of how you dreamt it the night beforehand then?
I just dreamt, to be totally honest with you, mate, I just dreamt getting through the game alive because I didn't know what was going to happen. I'd obviously played against Rangers in the semi-final at Hampden and beat them 2-2 when I seen how passionate the fans were then. So I was like, now if this is going to become a personal vendetta against me, I just need to get through this game alive without doing anything, crumbling to give a goal away or whatever. Full concentration on your job in hand, and that was it. I just went into a tunnel and tried to block everything out and just concentrate on everything I needed to do my job to its best ability for 90 minutes, and I ended up getting a goal along the way.
So my final question's probably centred around your time at Motherwell, but it's ever so slightly different. But I think a lot of the time, the Scottish Premiership, or the SPL as I will call it, but there's tons of really good strikers in that league, and I think it's kind of underrated sometimes. Sometimes people see Scotland as like, when you're in England anyway. And there's been some great strikers that come through, and you look at Lewis Moore, it was a big one, but you've played against some genuine, in my opinion, some world-class strikers in the likes of Jermaine Defoe. You've got Morelos up there. You've got obviously Edouard as well. But which one do you think's the best and why?
Edouard.
Or the hardest? Edouard?
Edouard. He's probably the best striker the Scottish Premier League seen since Henrik Larsson, I would say, being totally honest, because he is different levels. He's got every attribute you can. As a centre-half, sometimes you've got to play cat and mouse with the centre-forward. See, Morelos, for example, if you get too tight with him, he's going to spin you all the time. He's really good at using his body. So you've got to play cat and mouse, keep him at arm's length. Do that to Edouard, he'll literally turn on a sixpence, slip it through your legs and put it in top corner. You get too tight with him, he'll spin you because he's quicker than he's 6'2". I couldn't believe he was only 20, 21. I literally couldn't believe it because he's a real. He's going to go to a top level. He's fantastic. Like, really hard to play against. Makes you look like you don't deserve to be on the same pitch. You can do everything in your power, and it's still not good enough.
Did you ever come up against JD?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, at Ibrox. I think we got beat 2-1 this season. Yeah. We went 1-0 up. He scored the equaliser right on half time. I think Devante Cole scored our goal.
Yeah.
Good, but a different type of striker. With Jermaine Defoe, he's obviously played England, he's played in the Premier League, scored hundreds and hundreds of goals, but he's a small type of striker where obviously he doesn't want the ball in the air. So you've got to literally be on your toes with him in and around the box. He doesn't really come alive outside the box. Edouard, everywhere, any blade of grass, don't give him an inch. And if you give him an inch, he's smarting up here to make his own space. It's scary to play against. But Jermaine Defoe was quality, great experience.
But suppose on the flip side, then I know what you mean about Edouard, because he's tall, he's fast, he's strong, he's silky. He's really good with stuff like that. But I mean,
sometimes you get a striker who ticks all boxes but doesn't know where the goal is. He's got every single. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's superb. And I think that's kind of why I wanted to touch on it. I think there's a lot of good players in that league that are kind of underrated. But talking about Morelos, right? Totally different player. And you're right with what you said. If you get too tight, he can spin you. But one thing that's always intrigued me with Morelos is, I quite like the way he plays. He's a bit of a throwback. But what's he like when you play against him? Is it kind of like a throwback? Does he give you the kind of nips and the elbows and the?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's very physical. Yeah, he does. But you can get. He's one of them as well. He's young.
Yeah.
The mental aspect of you can take his mind off the game quite easily by getting into him before he gets into you. For example, the semi-final, we played Rangers. I think it was within the first 15 minutes. I lifted him, and then he comes straight after me and lifted me on the halfway line. And I knew then, as soon as he got me back, I knew all he cared about was kicking me in the game. So you can play the game with him. Where Edouard just doesn't he's just got a different aura about him. Morelos is going to be a top striker, 100 million% already is, to be honest. But I think Edouard just pinches it for me, from my personal opinion. Just with having played against them both, being embarrassed off them both, because they're both really good players, obviously way beyond my level. But Edouard, in my opinion, is definitely the better of the two.
Peter, thank you very much, mate. Good chat.
Oh, man.
Banging, eh? It's all right. Hope you enjoyed it.